By the way, I hear the American media, we're not testing enough people. For the record, South Korea's tested 1% of their people. Europe's tested 1% of their people. No country is going to test half of their people immediately. This is brand new. It's over.
Not about to start now, but the task is definitely taller this coming year than it has been in years past. There's more work to do, and it's not going to be easy this time around.
Yeah, well, the whole Tom Brady's leaving, things will be different, cannot be overstated enough.
Yeah, I mean, he is the culture there. Like, I understand that Bill Belichick has established this,
yes,
the overall system and culture and do your job in the Patriots way. But my question about how that culture continues is, does it really continue if the leader is not there? Because while the culture may be established, the Spurs, they still have the Spurs way.
Yes.
But are they winning championships?
No, they're winning. Yeah, if Belichick won a bunch of games like Popovich, we're not saying that I think Belichick's going to become Popovich. Win, respected, but dominant titles? No, it's over.
You still need a star.
Yes.
You just need the star to be that kind of guy. And that's kind of changing. The world is a different place now. Kids are coming up differently. There's different distractions. It's going to be more difficult than I think Patriots fans think to find the next guy that's just going to buy into this selfless Patriots way, you're not really a star idea. Like, that's very difficult to replicate. I maintain that Tom Brady is winning this divorce temporarily. Again, I think that if Belichick doesn't win a Super Bowl, another Super Bowl, we're going to look back on this whole thing very differently, especially if Tom Brady puts up numbers or has any bit of success in Tampa Bay, which I think he will.
But if Popovich never wins another NBA championship, we're still going to consider Popovich a Hall of Famer and a legend.
Of course.
And if Belichick wins a bunch of games but not a Super Bowl, I still think what we'll say is Belichick is the best coach of all time, and Brady as the best quarterback. You can't win without a great quarterback. And I don't think it'll hurt Belichick's legacy, but I think we will acknowledge it's a quarterback league first and a coach's league second.
We will, and I think that these last 2 years of Brady's career will kind of be more critical of how that breakup went, because if Brady puts up numbers, which we think that he will, it'll kind of seem like, Belichick made a mistake not putting his arms around him to get him to finish his career in New England. We'll talk more about this story on Joy Chat today on Caffeine at 3:30 Eastern, 12:30 Pacific. Go download the app. It's free. That's Joy Chat on Caffeine later today. So, Cam Newton reportedly passed a physical set up by the Panthers and his agency team this week, with both his shoulder and foot checking out well, but Carolina obviously still released him yesterday after 9 years with the team. After his release, he posted a series of photos and videos on Instagram of himself working out with the caption, "I'm free and hungry, no pity party, just work." Now, you are much more, I think, critical of Cam Newton than I am, or maybe more skeptical of Cam Newton than I am. I think Cam Newton is injured, and considering the current climate that we're in, where nobody can meet with each other, and you can't have your team doctors do their own evaluation, you can't bring a guy in, there's a lot of skepticism around Cam Newton. But I am fully in the Nick Wright camp of, I don't understand what exactly is happening with Cam Newton. I do think that everything sort of started to, I think the start of the spiral with Cam Newton began with the press conference after the Super Bowl, which I have always defended him on. I actually prefer for my quarterback to be distraught after losing the biggest game of his life. I don't think that the media is owed any sort of particular mood after that kind of loss. But I think that Cam Newton has a lot of football left to play. And I think if he ends up in a place where he has the opportunity to show that, he's going to be successful and prove everyone wrong. I'm not saying he's going to go on to win a Super Bowl, but he's a league MVP and was just in a Super Bowl a few years ago. This drop off because of the style of play that he has, where he doesn't get down and he takes huge hits and he's been injured, along with, people being critical of the hats and the scarves and the, fashion or whatever, thinking that he's distracted, I think all plays a role in it. But I don't think he is a bad quarterback because of that.
He can't, if you establish this, he can't be a backup. You can't have Tebow as a backup. Kaepernick can't. You can't have a superstar as a backup. So that's kind of one of the things in the NFL. Like, if you go with Cam, you got to roll with Cam. If you're going to go with Tebow, you got to go with Tebow. You don't want a superstar celebrity as a backup. So the question becomes, do I want to build an offense around Cam? That's the issue. It's not that he can't play. Kaepernick was always good enough to be a backup. Tebow won 7 straight games in a playoff game. Most backups can't do it. Cam is way better than 99% of the backups. But because he's a celebrity, coaches, there's only one option with Cam. Let's get Cam, and we're rolling with him for 4 years. And that's his problem. It's not that he can't play. It's you got to go all in on his style, his personality, and I think with so many good young quarterbacks out there, people are like, I'll go for a young kid. It's not that he can't play. There's a lot of, by the way, Jay Cutler could still play at the end. He was just a pain in the butt. Jeff George could play at the end. He was a pain in the butt. I think Cam's the better dude than like a Jeff George, and even easier to get along with than Jay Cutler. But Cam's big problem is he has to be a starter. He's you can't bring him in with Mitch Trubisky.
No,
you can't.
Yeah.
He's too big of a star. So joy with the news.
Well, that's the news.
And thanks for stopping by.
The Herd Lie News.
Saw this story, rolled my eyes. NFL general managers are concerned that in this current environment, off-season activities, facilities closed, they will not have enough time to really dig deep and get all the information they need for the NFL draft. Talk to the hand. Well, these days, talk to the fist. Give me a break. You can do the interview thing, but the combine's done and the film's done. If you don't have the answers by now, you're not a good GM. I called a GM about 7-8 days ago, I think it was. I went to lunch with a current college football player. He knew Andrew Thomas, went to high school with him, the offensive tackle from Georgia. And we were just talking about Andrew, and he said all these things about Andrew, family, football, nice stuff. I called a GM that needs an offensive tackle. I said, I've got some interesting information. I told him. He goes, yeah, that's exactly what our guys have. This was a week ago. Here's the other thing about the NFL. It's a very transitional league. You don't really know if a guy can play until he's in the league. I'll give you an example. Let's take the 2015 draft. You're not going to believe these numbers. 9 of the top 10 picks from the 2015 draft are now on different teams. None of the top 18 running backs from the 2015 draft are on the team that took them. 2 of the 34 wide receivers are still with the same team from the 2015 draft. None of the 7 quarterbacks taken in the draft are with the team that selected them. Are you hearing what I'm saying? You don't know if a guy can play until he's in the league. There's about 15 guys a draft. Every GM I talk to says the first 15, 16 picks are your best players. After that, it's fit. You got about 17 guys a draft that everybody's willing to pay first round money to. If you have pick 18, 19 and on until the beginning of the third round, they're all good players. It'll depend on the coach they get, the system they fit. There's only a handful of players per draft that can just kind of work. I mean, I'll give you an example. Chase Young is just going to work. Jeff Okudah, cornerback, he's just going to kind of work. I mean, Zeke is just Saquon Barkley. They're going to work. They can be a little better here, a little better there. Do the Giants have a good offensive line? No. Saquon Barkley still works. Okay, Andrew Luck was just going to work. The Colts were a mess. It worked. Elway was just going to work. Marino was just going to work. So you don't know until a guy gets in the league if he can truly work. And those 2015 numbers are when they didn't have a coronavirus. And you had all the information. And virtually nobody 5 years later is with the same team. If you don't, listen, this league's about a couple of things. Get a good head coach, get a star quarterback, and then protect him and get people that work with him. That's it. And that will ensure a higher percentage of picks working. If you have the right coach, hire a great coach, get a superstar quarterback, and then after that, protect him, get a good offensive line, and then he'll be the ultimate lubricator that a higher percentage of your picks work. Because if you get the wrong quarterback, nobody looks good. And if you get Russell Wilson, everybody looks good. You get Patrick Mahomes. You know how many people that Aaron Rodgers, he's made the Packers look like they're brilliantly run. I mean, they win the division. They get to the playoffs. They've been lousy on defense for most of Aaron Rodgers' career. Russell Wilson's O-lines have been dreadful. Patrick Mahomes overcomes defenses. Folks, get the quarterback right and the coach right. It's the best you can do at ensuring your draft picks usually work. Coming up next, good stuff today, Chris Broussard. I think Lakers LeBron, the NBA knows they got to get this season in. Chris Broussard's joining us next. Want to hear something amazing? Discover matches all the cash back you earn at the end of your first year. Automatically. No limits on how much you can earn. How amazing is that? Also amazing is that 99% of places in America that accept credit cards accept the Discover card. So when it comes to Discover, get used to hearing the word yes. Go to discover.com/yes. 2020 Nielsen Report. Limitations apply. Discover card.